Will Smith had no intention of creating a scandal during his casual trip to southern Spain. He'd come at the invitation of a Spanish producer friend, some simple business chats, a bit of sightseeing, and maybe a quick cameo in a local TV spot. Nothing big. But when he unexpectedly dropped by a lavish wedding in Seville, the rumor mill twisted his presence into the biggest social media firestorm of the month, overshadowing the bride, the groom, and everyone in between. It started innocently enough. Will had arrived in Seville in the early afternoon, strolling through the city's cobbled streets in jeans and a casual shirt, sampling tapas at a quaint cafe. He was recognized by a few starstruck locals who politely requested photos, which he obliged with a genial smile. The Spanish press barely knew he was in the country, and fans were content thinking he was just exploring Andalusia's charm. No one imagined that by sundown a scandal involving him and a bride-to-be would explode across tabloids all over Europe. Will's friend, a producer named Javier, had invited him to a wedding party that evening. "Nothing fancy, just come say hi," Javier insisted. The event was rumored to be a grand society wedding. Some rising Spanish pop star named Sol Vasquez was marrying a local aristocrat's son. Will wasn't personally connected to either of them, but at Javier's urging, he agreed to make a quick appearance for the celebration, assuming it was a casual open invitation after-party. So around 8 in the evening, he slipped into the grounds of an old, romantic hacienda on the outskirts of Seville. The setting looked surreal. Flickering lanterns strung between orange trees, a live flamenco band serenading guests in swirling formal wear, and elegantly dressed servers passing around sangria and delicate hors d'oeuvres. Will, wearing a simple blazer over his jeans, still hardly wedding attire, felt slightly underdressed but assumed nobody would mind. Javier introduced him to a few local actors and producers. Will enjoyed the low-key vibe, sipped a glass of sangria, and found everything pleasantly relaxed. Then he met the bride, Sol Vasquez, in a chance encounter near a fountain draped in flowers. They had never crossed paths before. Sol, radiant in her lace wedding gown, greeted him with gracious excitement. She recognized him instantly from his Hollywood hits, exclaiming how she grew up dancing to his comedic lines and rap tunes. The two of them chatted briefly about her upcoming music projects, while a wedding photographer hovered, snapping pictures. In that ephemeral moment, the crowd around them collectively went awe, delighted by the unexpected cameo of an international star congratulating the bride. Within minutes, Instagram posts and short videos emerged of Will Smith seemingly in an intimate conversation with the bride. Bloggers latched onto these images, spinning them out of context. One shot captured them mid-laugh, their faces close under the flickering lanterns, just enough for gossips to interpret a secret romantic vibe. In truth, Will was just praising the Spanish guitar music and joking that he might cameo in Sol's next music video. But a few wedding guests, half joking, teased that the bride looked starstruck, maybe starry-eyed. Someone overheard a snippet of conversation in which Will said, "You have so much energy," which tabloids twisted into he's saying she's the real star of the night, overshadowing the groom. Things escalated once the official toast began. The MC singled out Will in the crowd, urging him to speak a few words. Sol, still abuzz with excitement, beckoned him forward for a quick cameo toast. Will, ever the friendly showman, improvised a short speech about love and unity, how Seville's warmth reminded him of family gatherings back home. The bride and groom beamed. The guests applauded. But of course, camera phones devoured the scene. An impromptu speech by Will Smith at someone else's wedding? The seeds of scandal were sown. Shortly after, the groom's father, an aristocratic figure in traditional Andalusian garb, apparently took mild offense. Whispers circulated that he wanted the focus on local traditions and family. "We don't need a Hollywood star to overshadow my son's big day," he allegedly muttered to a nearby relative. That relative relayed the sentiment to a few gossip-hungry guests. Soon, half the wedding seemed divided between those thrilled that Will Smith had graced the event and those grumbling that he was overshadowing the couple. The tension remained mostly under the surface, but enough to make the environment edgy. Unaware of the brewing drama, Will continued chatting with a small circle of locals, indulging in comedic banter. The bride, still thrilled, invited him to dance for a brief moment, just a friendly swirl to the flamenco band's lively strum. Onlookers cheered. A short video captured them spinning near the orchard lights. To a casual viewer it was a sweet, spontaneous gesture. But the groom's father observed from afar, growing distinctly unhappy. Soon, he confronted Javier, the one who had invited Will. "This is not some Hollywood red carpet, this is my son's wedding," he allegedly said, annoyance creeping into his tone. A slight kerfuffle ensued among the wedding planners, who tried to politely ask if Will might keep a lower profile. Meanwhile, paparazzi, who had caught wind of Will's presence from social media, arrived at the hacienda's gates, pressing for entry. Security turned them away, but they snapped telephoto shots through fences, capturing glimpses of Will's impromptu dance, the bride's laughter, the groom's father's scowl. Within the hour, Spanish gossip sites posted headlines such as "Will Smith crashes wedding, bride forgets groom?" The crash was, of course, a total misrepresentation. He had been invited, but tabloids rarely care for nuance. Will finally noticed a layer of tension as the groom's father approached him. In halting English, he tried politely to steer Will away from further center stage moments. Will, a bit perplexed, apologized if he had caused any distraction. He reiterated he was only there as a guest, meaning no harm or showy statement. While the father kept it civil, some local guests overheard their conversation and read it as a minor confrontation. Cue the next wave of rumor. Will Smith argued with father of the groom, overshadowing the wedding, was soon plastered across social feeds. After gleaning that his presence might be complicating the wedding's vibe, Will decided to slip out early. He discreetly thanked Sol and her groom, congratulating them again, then retrieved his blazer from a coat rack. Within minutes, he quietly exited the hacienda, an unsettled hush trailing behind him. The paparazzi outside ambushed him, flinging rapid-fire questions. "Are you hooking up with the bride? Did you fight the groom's father?" The swirl of camera flashes forced him to shield his eyes. "No, that's ridiculous," he responded, exasperated, before climbing into a waiting vehicle that sped off under the orchard's flickering lights. By dawn, Spanish tabloids had fully latched onto the story. Will Smith's surprising wedding crash. Bride ignores groom to dance with Hollywood star. Some articles included quotes from anonymous guests claiming Will had disrupted the ceremony with his big persona, while others insisted the bride's family was upset. Meanwhile, local radio shows had phone-ins from wedding attendees who described it less sensationally. He was polite, joined for a dance, then left early, no big deal. Yet the overshadowing narrative was too juicy for the press to abandon, especially with those viral dance videos capturing Sol beaming at Will. Social media fanned the flames, with fans half teasing that maybe Sol married the wrong star, while critics slammed Will for taking center stage. The bride, Sol Vasquez, posted a small message on her personal account, clarifying that Will is a friend of a friend. "He kindly stopped by for a bit. We had a fun dance and he left. My husband and I remain the happiest couple in Spain." But conspiracy-minded fans insisted it was a cover-up, fueling new speculation about whether the groom's family was pressuring her to hush any controversy. Others pointed to Will's statement, where he offered a gentle apology if he inadvertently drew too much attention, emphasizing that he meant no disrespect. Still, tabloids found angle after angle. Was the father's anger real or exaggerated? Did Will actually crash, or was he invited? The illusions of a wedding overshadowed by an A-lister continued to churn the rumor mill, overshadowing local Spanish coverage of other major events. Over in Los Angeles, American outlets picked up the story. Late-night hosts joked about how Will might add wedding cameo to his list of comedic roles. Some shows praised him for apparently leaving once he sensed tension, labeling it a sign of courtesy. Others ridiculed him, claiming he never does anything quietly, portraying him as always stepping into the spotlight. Will's publicist tried to clarify, issuing a statement that he was invited, enjoyed meeting wonderful people, and left early to respect the couple's personal celebration. Despite this, the tabloids stuck to their sensational version, Will Smith overshadowing Spanish Bride, which ironically overshadowed any real drama that might or might not have existed. In Seville, the newlyweds eventually headed off on their honeymoon, content that the fiasco was mostly a manufactured storm. Yet for weeks, the internet thrived on hashtag Will Smith wedding cameo memes, comedic retellings, and satire pieces depicting Will spontaneously dancing at random ceremonies. Some fans half-wishfully joked that maybe he should open a cameo service for weddings. Meanwhile, local Andalusian radio programs bantered about the groom's father's scowling face, turning it into comedic fodder. Ultimately, the father declined to comment officially, rumored to find the entire matter unworthy of further acknowledgement. Hence, the wedding that was presumably a private, low-stakes party turned into a viral telenovela of overshadowed nuptials once Will Smith stepped onto the dance floor. He never intended to overshadow the bride or spark gossip about fatherly resentment. The fiasco erupted purely from the collision of star presence, social media's appetite for drama, and paparazzi capturing a fleeting moment of joyful dancing. And so, what began as an innocuous cameo at a friend's wedding in Seville ended as a worldwide topic, overshadowing the newlyweds' big day in the tabloids' eyes, reminding all that any star's slightest move, especially a famously beloved comedic star like Will, can balloon into an international rumor spree at the drop of a camera's shutter.